Calling case of Horizon Bank versus Merdine Heckman, file 20-08403GC. Counsel, identify yourself for the record.
Yes, Your Honor. Andrew Barnes for the plaintiff, Horizon Bank.
Do we have Ms. Heckman here today?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor.
Looks like it lists as Mr. Dunn has filed an appearance. Let me check. Michaela, it says Dunn. Is Mr. Dunn representing Ms. Heckman? Has he filed an appearance in this case?
Your Honor, to my knowledge, he has, and he filed an answer on behalf of Merdine Heckman.
Okay.
And then he also executed the consent judgment on her behalf, which we've submitted to the court.
All right. So there were two Heckmans that were sued on this?
Correct. It's either mother or daughter or it's some other relation. I forget what it is.
Okay.
And the original intent, Your Honor, was that both defendants would execute the consent judgment and Denise would be paying. Denise was proposing an installment payment plan to avoid garnishment of her wages. However, Denise has gone silent now. She has not signed the consent. That's why we were seeking a default judgment as to Denise. And then Merdine, through her attorney, Mr. Dunn, has signed the consent judgment.
Okay. All right. And we have service on both. Let's see. Michaela, can you pull up the proof of service on?
Yes, we show that both of them have been personally served.
Okay. Well then, so it looks as if we have judgments on both, one consent and one default, correct? Since the defendant has failed to appear or defend, I will grant a default judgment. And of course, the consent judgment has already been submitted. So if you submit those documents and email them to 75civil@co.midland.mi.us.
All right, we'll do that. We'll submit both of those judgments by email, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll be adjourned.
Yep. Thanks.
Michaela, did that cover the questions for you?
Yep, that works. Thank you.
All right. Next case I'm calling is Dorothy Schuler versus Jerome Township. This is file 21-08748GC. Schuler, if you would please unmute yourself, as well as the attorney of record for Jerome Township, Mr. Claiborne. Also, please identify yourself for the record.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Cleavorn. I'm attorney on behalf of defendant Jerome Township in this matter.
All right, Ms. Schuler, please identify yourself for the record.
Hello, Dorothy Denise Schuler.
All right, today's time and date set for a pre-trial. Ms. Schuler, you are the plaintiff, which means that you have the burden of proof in this case. Have you had any conversation with Mr. Cleavorn about potential resolutions to this matter?
I personally have not. I personally went to a Jerome Township board meeting, and they had told me that they wouldn't talk to me, that a lawyer had to talk to me. So then that's why I filed in the small claims court, and then this gentleman, this lawyer, removed it. Yeah. So I'm representing myself, but I have been in contact with a lawyer, Mr. Hewitt. I have not retained him yet.
Okay.
I'm hoping that we can come to a resolution.
Do you want to?
I certainly don't mean to.
Go ahead, Mr. Claiborne.
Yeah, I certainly don't mean to jump in or cut off or anything like that. But yeah, I also want to indicate that I talked with attorney Chuck Hewitt of Smith and Booker in Bay City yesterday. And so we had some kind of preliminary conversations introducing, yeah, it's my understanding he had not been retained yet, but was looking at potentially doing so. The point of our conversation was kind of hashing out, what is and is not available in light of the government immunity afforded to my clients. And so we'd had some preliminary discussions in that regard. And yeah, that was kind of where we left it, was meeting today, but my understanding is that Chuck's had some conversations as well with Miss Schuler.
Okay. Then why don't we follow the process then and set this for settlement conference date on September the 22nd, and then leave some time for the parties to negotiate to see if we can reach a resolution. Ms. Schuler, here's how this process works. Since you filed the lawsuit, you have the burden of proof. You can continue to represent yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Or you can hire a lawyer. You couldn't do that in small claims. Small claims, you cannot have an attorney. That's the reason why Mr. Claiborne had to remove it in order for him to represent the township. So the next time we'll be in court, which will be for final settlement conference, will be on September 22nd at 2:00 in the afternoon. That will be by Zoom. But what will happen is between now and then, I'm sending you an order that has a number of dates in it. So within the next 14 days, both sides have an opportunity to amend their pleadings. In other words, if you needed to add anybody else, Ms. Schuler, or if Mr. Claiborne wanted to amend his pleadings, they could do that. The exchange of witnesses we anticipate to be done within 30 days of this order. So we'd anticipate you sending who you're planning on calling as witnesses if the case goes to trial. And any dispositive motions, the motion for summary disposition, must be scheduled and heard within 120 days or within 4 months of today's date. And if we get to trial, and this will be after September, but I would need to have any trial documents that you want to see 3 days prior to the trial date, because I want to be able to read the cases that you submitted and understand your arguments rather than trying to read it while you're making arguments. So between now and then, you can obviously have a contact. You can talk with Mr. Claiborne, or you can hire Mr. Hewitt to talk to Mr. Claiborne to see if there's a resolution. Once someone is represented by an attorney, Mr. Claiborne could talk to you today, but he can't talk to you the minute that you hire an attorney. It's not ethical for him to do that. If you want to talk to him about resolving the case on your own before you hire an attorney, you could do that.
Okay,
Or
is he willing to
wait.
do that? I haven't retained attorney. Is Mr. Claiborne, are you willing to talk to me about getting reimbursed for the burial plot that I bought they sold me that was already previously sold?
Yeah. I can give you my office's number and you can give me a call once we're off the record. Happy to talk with you.
What we could do is put you in a breakout room, then you can share information or use that time to talk. And then once you're done, you can just leave. So I'm
right
going to
now?
go ahead and we'll send you a notification to join the breakout room. Then Mr. Claiborne and you can talk about trying to resolve the case, or if you just agree to get the telephone number and then call him later, you could do that too. But what's happening is right now, we try not to put people's individual information because not only are we recording, but we're broadcasting out on YouTube. So we're going to put you in a breakout room. Once you're done, you can go ahead and leave the meeting. But we're going to send you an invitation to join a breakout room right now together.
Okay. Thank you very much, Your Honor. We'll look
you.
forward to receiving the order from you.
All right. Thank you.